Hello viewer, thank you for joining us. This is CBA Security Update broadcasting to you from Hargeysa. On this particular news program, we will be covering for you the latest on Maanta security across East Africa. Ahead on the program, unknown gunmen kill police officer in Borama. Somalia promises to secure Turkish national safety. Al-Qaeda senior leadership praises jihadists in Mali and Somalia. President Uhuru Kenyatta of Kenya directs security agencies to intensify war on terror. And 9 injured in Somalia's bombing flown to Turkey for treatment. Welcome to the program. We start here in Somaliland. In Borama, a group of unknown gunmen have killed a police officer early Tuesday morning in Borama, the administrative capital of Awdal region in Somaliland. The slain officer was guarding a site where water pipes were being laid, which is part of Borama's water access extension project.
The officer was shot dead at the western end of the city. The perpetrators escaped the scene unrecognized. No group has so far claimed responsibility for the officer's murder. Borama's police commando said investigations were going on, abstaining from giving details of the suspect's identity. The mayor of Borama, Saleban Hassan Haddi, accused the murder on people who he said are opposed to the water extension project.
Our
decision today is to pursue the perpetrators and everyone involved with them, wherever they may go.
The mayor pledged to pursue the perpetrators to the ends of the world, vowing to bring them and their associates to justice. 2 men also working at the pipe laying site in the western Borama were kidnapped, according to our sources. They were not harmed at the time, our sources add.
And 9 people who were injured in Mogadishu in an attack against Turkey officials have been taken to Turkey for further treatment. Turkish medical rescue team left Somalia's capital on Tuesday to fly people injured in a recent suicide attack to Turkey for further treatment. Turkey's ambassador to Mogadishu, Mehmet Yilmaz, told a news conference that Ankara will continue with its aid work in the country despite recent attacks by the militant group Al-Shabaab that have targeted Turkish workers.
This will not stop us from helping Somalia. We shall continue work. Somalia and Turkey have good relations.
Saturday's suicide car bombing by Al-Shabaab occurred in Afgoye, about 30 kilometers northwest of the capital Mogadishu, and targeted Turkish construction workers who were having lunch with local police. A total of 21 people were injured in the attack, among them 6 Turks. On December 28th, at least 85 people were killed, including 2 Turkish nationals, and over 150 others wounded in a suicide truck attack in Mogadishu that was claimed by the militant group Al-Shabaab. Turkey has strong historical ties with Somalia on the principles of win-win relations, including more than 150 development aid projects carried out by the Turkish Cooperation and Coordination Agency. Turkey's vast aid effort at the height of the 2011 famine endeared it to many Somali people, and it has continued to pour in aid, much of it from private companies. It has built schools, hospitals, and infrastructure, and has provided Somalis with scholarship to study in Turkey. Relations between Turkey and Somalia date back to the 16th century, at the time the Ottoman Empire sought to prevent Somalia from becoming a Portuguese colony. In the wake of the 16th century, Somalia was ruled by local elements of the Ottoman Empire, following the empire's demise by Western colonial powers. During this period, the Ottoman presence in Berbera, just like the presence of the military training center in Somalia today, was the guarantee of peace in the region. Contemporary Turkish and Somalian relations began with the opening of embassies in 1979, although Turkey's embassy was closed in 1992 due to civil war in Somalia. Meanwhile, Somalia has vowed to secure engineers and workers of the Mogadishu-Afgoye highway construction following recent attacks on Turkish engineers. At least 3 were killed and 20 others injured last Saturday after a suicide car targeted highway workers outside the Somali capital, Mogadishu. In a meeting with police and army chiefs, which was also attended by the Turkish and Qatari envoys, Somali Prime Minister Hassan Ali Khaire called on the chiefs to come up with developing a mechanism for the safety of Turkish constructors building the Mogadishu-Afgoye highway. The Prime Minister emphasized the need for clearing and securing the construction work and to make sure the construction work goes on unhindered. In a statement from his office, the Prime Minister underscored the construction of the road and said that it will not be deterred by any acts of terror. According to a statement from the Prime Minister sent to newsrooms, the Prime Minister urged the constructors to complete the road, which he says is vital in facilitating movement, business development and economic growth of Somalia. And one of the biggest stories of the security status in Horn of Africa, Al-Qaeda's senior management, or the General Command as it is popularly known as, has released a two-page statement praising jihadists in Mali and Somalia. Al-Qaeda has strong branches in both East and West Africa, and the international organization's leaders signaled their approval for the militant group's ongoing wars in a new massive happening in West and East Africa. Salutations for the Defenders of Islam in Mali was released online on January 18th, with Al-Qaeda's propagandist making both Arabic and English versions available on various websites and social media channels. Much of the statement is focused on the battles in Mali, though it ends with praise for the jihadist efforts in Somalia as well. Though Al-Qaeda's senior men don't name the parties they have in mind, they are clearly lauding Jama'atul Nusratul Islam wal Muslimin and Al-Shabaab al-Mujahideen among other Al-Qaeda groups. Both JNIM and Al-Shabaab remain openly loyal to Ayman al-Zawahiri and have claimed attacks as part of Al-Qaeda's Al-Qudus will never be Judaized campaign. The statement reflects Al-Qaeda's ongoing role in guiding insurgencies. The statement frames the conflict almost entirely as battles against the West and Western influence. The statement's authors congratulate their loyalists in West Africa for successfully liberating some identified prisoners and for supposedly intimidating Germany to the point that the country refused to send their special forces to fight you. The latter is allegedly an obvious sign of the terror that you have struck in the hearts of the Crusaders and their apostate allies. Al-Qaeda's General Command encourages the fighters in West Africa to continue producing propaganda because the Islamic Ummah closely follows their statements and media productions. Their jihad is part of an Islamic military awakening in the Islamic Maghreb that they say shall spread and its flame will set alight the land of the invaders, the statement reads. The statement does not mention the Islamic State presence in either East or West Africa. The self-declared Caliphate built a presence in both areas from 2014 onward, but failed to supplant Al-Qaeda's regional branches. Al-Qaeda in the Islamic Maghreb spawned JNIM in 2017 as part of Al-Qaeda's reorganizational efforts. Al-Qaeda in the Islamic Maghreb and its local allies, including Ansar Din, which plays a prominent role in their fight, were laying the groundwork for jihadist emirate in Mali when the French intervened in early 2013. The US has backed France's efforts to contain Al-Qaeda and the Islamic states across the region in the years since then, while also attempting to prevent Al-Shabaab from building its emirate in Somalia and East Africa. The total American military presence in Africa is estimated to be between 6,000 and 7,000 troops. However, America's military footprint across Africa is much in doubt as the Defense Department is reportedly considering plans to withdraw forces from the continent. And now to Kenya, where the President of the Republic of Kenya has directed security agencies to intensify the war on terror. Kenya's security forces have been directed to intensify their operations against Al-Shabaab barely a week after a series of attacks in the country. Speaking at a meeting with top security officials, Kenya's President Uhuru Kenyatta directed security officers to mount operations to flush out terrorist operatives and all sleeper cells in northeastern and coastal Kenya. The President, who hosted top security chiefs in the highlight of the annual security review and planning conference at State House in Mombasa, said the tempo against terrorism must be high and aggressive.
Our most grave national security challenge, as you all know, is terrorism. And indeed, I applaud the efforts made by our multi-agency structure to preempt a very large number of planned attacks and terrorist operations. And I also recognize and applaud the individual acts of bravery by security officers who have faced the enemy directly and showed immense resolve, that did the officers, their agency, and indeed our nation proud.
The president stated that sponsors and recruiters of terrorists must be targeted and dealt with harshly. President Uhuru Kenyatta told the security chiefs to be vigilant and bring to an end all smuggling of contrabands through which terrorists receive fundings.
I take this opportunity to say that I am indeed happy with how you have undertook your work, how you have performed. However, as it is always said, success does not mean that we rest on our laurels, or for that matter become complacent, for the threats to our country are dynamic and we must remain vigilant, indeed in this year and in every coming year.
Kenya's security agencies are under scrutiny following the latest attacks in the coastal part of the East African country and northeastern region. Analysts say it's a sign that Al-Shabaab is still very much a force to be reckoned with. And with that story, we take a short commercial break, but still ahead on the program, AMISOM police officers from Nigeria start off work in Somalia, and Somali military officers kill suspected Al-Shabaab fighters in Marka town.
يا سلام kusoo dhawow qiimo dhimista ballaaran ay ku samaysay shirkadda Telesom 4G++, 3G iyo waliba 2G ka faa'iideyso qiimo dhimista internetka maxmil qiimo dhimista xidhmooyinka aasaasiga qiimihii hore 150 MB waxaad ku heli jirtay $1 halka qiimaha cusub 200 MB aad ku helayso $1 qiimihii hore 300 MB waxaad ku heli jirtay $1 halka qiimaha cusub 400 MB aad ku helayso $1 qiimihii hore 600 MB waxaad ku heli jirtay $2 halka qiimaha cusub 800 MB aad ku helayso $2 maxmil qiimihii hore 900 MB waxaad ku heli jirtay $3 halka qiimaha cusub 1.2 GB aad ku helayso $3 ha u daymo la'aan qiimo dhimista xidhmooyinka casriga ah $5 bil kasta waxaad heli jirtay 9 GB halka maalin kasta aad heli jirtay 300 MB hadda qiimaha cusub $5 bil kasta waxaad helaysaa 16 GB maalin kastana waxaad helaysaa 546 MB bil kasta $10 waxaad heli jirtay 20 GB maalin kasta waxaad heli jirtay 667 MB halka qiimaha cusub $10 aad heli doonto 30 GB maalin kasta waxaad heli doontaa 1 GB $15 qiimihii hore waxaad ku heli jirtay 42 GB bil kasta halka maalin kasta aad ku heli jirtay 1.4 GB qiimaha cusub $15 bil kasta waxaad ku heli doontaa 80 GB halka maalin kasta aad ku heli doonto 2.7 GB qiimihii hore $20 bil kasta waxaad ku heli jirtay 54 GB halkaad maalin kasta ku heli jirtay 1.8 GB qiimaha cusub $20 bil kasta waxaad ku heli doontaa 100 GB halkaad maalin kasta ku heli doontaa 3.3 GB shirkaddu waxay ku soo kordhisay xidhmada $25 bil kasta waxaad heli doontaa 133 GB halkaad maalin kasta ka heli doontaa 4.4 GB qiimihii hore $30 bil kasta waxaad ku heli jirtay 75 GB halkaad maalin kasta ku heli jirtay 2.5 GB qiimaha cusub $30 bil kasta waxaad ku heli doontaa 150 GB halkaad maalin kasta ku heli doonto 5 GB qiimihii hore $50 bil kasta waxaad ku heli jirtay 180 GB halkaad maalin kasta ku heli jirtay 4 GB qiimaha cusub $50 bil kasta waxaad ku heli doontaa 210 GB halkaad maalin kasta ka helayso 7 GB la soco adeegyada Telesom shirkaddu waxa ay ku diyaarisay xidhmooyin cusub oo aan hore u jiri jirin xidhmooyinkan oo ah maalinle iyo toddobaadle 12 senti waxaad ku isticmaali kartaa hal toddobaad 50 MB 25 senti hal maalin waxaad ku isticmaali kartaa 200 MB hal toddobaadna 400 MB $1 hal maalin waxaad ku isticmaali kartaa 500 MB hal toddobaadna 1 GB $1 hal maalin waxaad ku isticmaali kartaa 1 GB hal toddobaadna 2 GB $2 hal maalin waxaad ku isticmaali kartaa 2 GB hal toddobaadna 4 GB $3 hal maalin waxaad ku isticmaali kartaa 3 GB hal toddobaadna 5 GB naftaada ku soor qiimo dhimista internetka ku raaxayso shabakadda isgaarsiinta ugu ballaaran Somaliland ee Telesom Maxmil ka faa'iideyso qiimo dhimista internetka Telesom markasta ku xidhnow shirkadda Telesom wixii faahfaahin kala xidhiidh nambarka daryeelka maxmiilka 151 maxmil
السلام عليكم. وعليكم السلام. أنا ورابي وهرات سرعي. هاي. وعكلوا إذا وجدنا ويلو. أنت قدرت سوى حسين. هل بعد ما عرفتين؟
هذا.
هذا.
جيل بدنا صارني. هذا إلا قرمي كام قنتاي.
هذا هالشيء إذا صدع مع الماضي كم قنتاي.
استنى عيل هذا.
استلاب. ما عاد عسده.
هذا سوق القاري جيلك والقورة ديني.
ديارة طبعا الوهاية ديارة
هرمود فوجي انترنت حوار السر له جوب والبه يجور كستا هرمود اسكو حراها برشدة
Welcome back, viewer. The Police Commissioner of the Africa Union Mission in Somalia, Agostino Kailia, has urged newly deployed officers from Nigeria to serve diligently and discharge their duties in accordance to the rules and regulations governing the mission in Somalia. Given the multinational nature of the mission, Kailia urged the officers to be disciplined and respect seniority irrespective of the country the officer hails from.
All the courses that we are being taught are very pertinent to the mission arena. Respect for diversity. You have to interface with a lot of people from various backgrounds. When you see your senior, give him his compliments. It is normal in any police force, the world over. When you see your senior, you must respect your senior. Discipline is the hub around which the wheel of the police revolves.
During their one-year tour of duty in AMISOM, the police officers will largely provide operational support to the Somali counterparts in the areas of public order management and training, conducting patrols, securing key installations, provisions of escort duties, and securing key events including the upcoming parliamentary and presidential elections slated to come late this year. Speaking at the same event, Superintendent of Police Sheikh Ahmed Ghani, the contingent commander of the Nigerian-formed police unit, thanked AMISOM Police senior leadership team for organizing the training, which he said was insightful.
Most of the topics treated have answered our puzzle questions about Somalia and its people. As we now have a better understanding about their culture, the cultural background, religion, like and dislikes, and the do and don'ts of Somali people.
The training covered various topics that included the AMISOM police mandate and task, Somali culture, human rights, principles of peacekeeping operations, and operational support to the Somali police force. Present were AMISOM Police Operations Coordinator Daniela Ali Gwambal and the Special Assistant, the EU Police Commissioner Colonel Mohammed Noordin Idris. And Somali forces have killed at least 8 Al-Shabaab militants and injured 11 others in Warka town, a coastal town southwest of the capital Mogadishu, Sunday evening. This according to the Somali military. The commander of the 4th Battalion of the 14th October Brigadier Osman Mohamed Muse told the media that the forces repulsed an attempt by Al-Shabaab on the town, leading to heavy clashes. Speaking on the military-owned radio, Osman Mohamed Musa, the commander of the 4th Battalion of the 14th October, said the attack began with explosives and mortar fire, followed by heavy fighting between Al-Shabaab and the Somali National Army. The commander stated that the military had prior intelligence indicating imminent Al-Shabaab attack, thus well prepared. The coastal town of Warka in Lower Shabelle region lies about some 90 kilometers southwest of the capital Mogadishu. For months now, the Somali forces have managed to kill dozens of militants ahead of a full takeover from foreign troops in Somalia early next year. Last year, the Somali army played an important role in thwarting Al-Shabaab raid at the U.S. Baligodle army base, killing 11 militants in the process. Besides executing complex and sophisticated operations, the U.S.-trained Somali forces also offer VIP protection to the country's leadership. Somalia is struggling to enhance stability and reconciliation after decades of civil war and threats from insurgents following the collapse of the central government in 1991. At least 5 people have been arrested for allegedly carrying out surveillance at a club along Kiambu Road in the Kenya's capital, Nairobi, barely days after intelligence report alerted of an imminent terror attack in Kenya.
A statement from the police indicated that the suspects were arrested on early Sunday and several items recovered from them. The police noted that the suspects were doing surveillance using a white Toyota Vitz. Among the items recovered was a car, 1 pair of Kenyan Air Force trousers, a jungle t-shirt, a jungle hat, and a jungle pair of trousers. The suspects were identified as Mohamed Hassan Bario, a Somali national, Mohamed Adan, Kenyan driver, Miss Hodan Abdi Ismail, a Somali national, Miss Ifra Mohamed Abshir, a Somali national, and Mohamed Abbas Mahmoud, a U.S. citizen. The suspects were placed on custody in Pangani police station. Kenya police have lately intensified a crackdown on terrorists following reports that they were planning to hit strategic establishments. Last week, Kenya President Uhuru Kenyatta ordered security forces to dismantle terror cells across the country. Kenya has been the worst hit country, which is Pan-African Union peacekeeping mission in Somalia contributing country. Recent attacks in Kenya came at a time when the US as well as other Western countries such as France are increasingly discussing scaling down their military efforts against African extremist organizations as well as drawing in a new partners to share their burdens. Reporting for CBA News, my name is Naima Abdul Khair.
Still on Al-Shabaab's threat in Kenya, political leaders in Garissa, northern Kenya, have asked the government of the Republic of Kenya to arm communities in the fight against Al-Shabaab. Led by Kenya's leader of majority in parliament, Adan Duale, and the governor of Garissa, the leaders said during a meeting attended by current and former leaders that they will work towards ending Al-Shabaab's attacks that have paralyzed operations in the region. Leaders from Garissa over the weekend convened a consultative conference for peace, security and countering violent extremism and came up with a raft of measures to fight terrorism. The measures include arming the local administrators like chiefs and providing them with at least 10 police officers. The meeting also proposed that special forces be deployed to terror-prone areas as opposed to the current arrangement where police officers without specialized training are deployed and the Kenya Defence Forces be deployed to man the border. The government was also urged to avoid extrajudicial killings and forced disappearance and also treat volunteers of information with utmost secrecy. The government was also urged to avoid extrajudicial killings and forced disappearance and also treat volunteers of information with utmost secrecy to avoid victimization. Others included the upgrading of all roads to bitumen standards to avoid the planting of improvised explosive devices that have claimed the lives of 653 officers in a span of 3 years. The committee that is charged with collecting the views will then share the same with the National Security for action and implementation. The forum was attended by current and former political leaders as well as senior security officers. The meeting was prompted by the latest terror attack in Kamude and Saredo primary schools in the Dab and Fafi sub-counties respectively, where 3 teachers and 4 pupils were killed by Al-Shabaab militants. And Somalia's National Intelligence and Security Agency, popularly known as NISA, has announced that its forces have arrested a singer for having links with the militant group Al-Shabaab barely 3 weeks after a college teacher was convicted for killings. In its Twitter account, NISA said Abshir Garane Ahmed was arrested after the security forces got intelligence report indicating the singer was an Al-Shabaab ringleader. According to another video clip posted on Twitter, the artist confessed that he was a member of the militant group. He said in the clip that he was working with Al-Shabaab on intelligence and finances. Abshir was part of a band financed by Mogadishu's local government. Meanwhile, Al-Shabaab has denied NISA's reports that singer Abshir Garane Ahmed is an Al-Shabaab operative. The group says Ahmed has no connections with Al-Shabaab. And a senior Al-Shabaab member has defected to the Somali government. One of the most senior foreign fighters with the Somali militant group Al-Shabaab says he has defected and is now in Mogadishu with the Somali government. Zubair Al-Muhajir traveled from London to join the group in 2006.
Zubair Al-Muhajir traveled from London to join the group in 2006. He rose through the ranks and ultimately became a member of Al-Shabaab's Shura Council of Religious Scholars. Al-Muhajir, originally from Ivory Coast, told media that he fell out with the group in 2013 when its Amniyat forces arrested him and imprisoned him for 3 years. He says the group uses Sharia just to betray the people and fool them and lie to them. In 2011, Al-Muhajir was the head of committee appointed by Al-Shabaab to mediate a better dispute between the late leader Ahmed Abdi Godani and 3 other commanders, Ibrahim Al-Afghani, Mukhtar Robo, Abu Mansour, and Fuad Muhammad Khalaf Shangole. Godani rejected his mediation efforts, and the dispute led to the execution of Afghani in June 2013. Robo eventually defected, while Shangole is still with Al-Shabaab. At the time, Al-Shabaab detained a number of other commanders and figures suspected of opposing Godani, and Zubair Al-Muhajir claims he was one of the detained. The Somali government has an open amnesty program for those defecting from Al-Shabaab as long as they renounce violence and the ideology. Al-Muhajir claims he first went to the African Union mission based at Mogadishu Airport. He is now at Somali government safe house. He says he is still waiting to hear from the government on what program they have for him.
And with that story of the foreign jihadi who left the militant group Al-Shabaab for the Somali government, we wrap up our news program. Thank you for being with us. My name is Yunis Dekow. On behalf of all those who made this broadcast possible, thank you for choosing to watch CBA. Enjoy the rest of your viewing.